Welcome to the January 18th, 2007 Parish Council meeting. Call the meeting to order. We'll ask Councilman Sheikh Snyder if he will lead us in the invocation and the pledge. Councilman Sheikh Snyder.
Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you bless this group of people and that we make decisions that are in best interest for our community, our state, and our nation. We'd like to ask you also for a favor that you bring back the wonderful weather that you gave us last week, and that most of all you allow our servicemen and women to be safe, the people of this country to be safe, and that we move forward. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move now to the roll call. Roll call. Mr. Savoy is absent with excuse. He's working tonight. Anybody know about Mr. Thompson? Mr. Thompson is absent. Not sure about whether Mr. Thompson is working tonight. We will move on now to the chair's addition, the emergency items. You do have one agenda item that needs to be put on there dealing with a sidewalk issue, I think it is. Is that right, Ms. Cinnamon? And I will pass that out to you now. Parish President, this is the one I talked to you about. Did you find out information on this?
2/3, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Rubio.
Last, Mr. Laverne, you know something about this? This is a resolution that we have voted on already twice. If y'all remember, we had pass that down there. We had done this. This is a project that was on LA 44, if I remember right. In fact, GSA I think had that project, and DOTD is wanting something a little bit more specific as far as the resolution determining where exactly we plan to do this project, because I think there was some matching funds involved in it. And so
Move to amend the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
I second it.
Moved by Mr. Berger, put it on the agenda. Second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Any other discussion on it? Okay, we'll put that on the agenda, and we'll put that under the Transportation Committee. We'll put that as 12C. All right, that's the only items I have. Agenda item number 4, public comment period. Anybody wanting to speak on any of the agenda items, please sign in with the secretary and fill out a speaker card for us. You'll have 3 minutes to talk on that issue. Presentations. We do not have any presentations listed, Cinnamon. Okay. Parish President's report. Parish President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Going to be very brief. Bicentennial Commission has been meeting a lot and regularly. We're having a really good response in the business community and supported this event. And so I've asked them to come make a presentation to the council in the very near future. They're planning what I understand, a news conference probably next week to officially introduce and announce all of this to our community. This pile of new has basically finished our 200-year history, our book, and I've read a good bit of it, not all of it by any means. And so we're in the process of trying to get that published, and a number of copies that we'll order. So if you personally would like copies or know people who would, we need to know so we can come up with an idea how many of these we're going to need. The only other thing I'm going to share with you right now is that a few minutes ago I sent you a rather long packet of material from the Department of Transportation and Development from Dr. Eric Calavoda, the Assistant Secretary to Mr. John Bradbury. In addition, there'll be a letter in there from Mr. Bradbury to the members of the legislature, what they were trying to do in the special session regarding $400 million that had been designated from the surplus monies that has been found to use for some transportation needs. And I had written to them back in December, to the governor as well, on the needs in our parish on state highways, specifically capacity projects. And so you'll have it's a little confusing because a lot of material in there with and all 64 parishes are listed with different things they were attempting to do. So if you have a specific question, please call me so we can talk about it. But to give you a good overview, as you know, the special session didn't take that up, so they didn't do anything with it. So we're trying to get prepared for the regular session. It begins April 30th. Several of the parish presidents in the growth areas are meeting, trying to talk about what we need to do to get even more of this money committed to infrastructure projects where we have serious capacity and safety needs. And so please look through that. You can see what the department was recommending to be done to both the legislature and the governor's office. You'll see some comments from Mr. Bradbury to the governor and to the legislators on all of this. And so please look at it and then give me a call. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Parish President. We'll move on now to agenda item number 7, committee appointments. If you'll see, I've laid before you a copy of all the committees and the appointments of chairmen tonight of each committee. I was able to grant everybody their wish, except I did have 3 committees where 6 people had applied for that, so I used the seniority rule to place the 5th member on there. So if you're missing off of something you asked for, that's what that's about. The other thing, I did have some councilmen that didn't circle whether they would chair a committee or not, and I did put one for sure in the chairman spot. So if he is not willing to do that or does not have the time, please see me after the meeting. Or in fact, if anything there is looks a little that's something you cannot commit to this year, please see me after the meeting. We'll change that by next meeting. But those are the committees, and most of the information is on there, and I've given a copy to Cinnamon, so we'll move on from that. Okay? Thank you very much. And also, committees are very important. The consent agenda, agenda item number 8, which is to adopt the council minutes of December 21st.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Councilman Shake Snyder. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. Move to agenda item number 9, committee reports. Utilities Committee.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Barry has no. Tonight we don't have any discussion on utilities. We'll go to the Personnel Committee. Mr. Savoy. Mr. Savoy is working.
We have not met, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. McConnell. Recreation Committee. Mr. Joseph.
Yes, our next meeting will be January 31st at 6 o'clock here in the Index Building, and it'll be our first meeting for this year.
Okay. Appreciate the Recreation Committee meeting off quickly, and hopefully we'll have good attendance with that. Transportation Committee meeting, Chairwoman Cheryl Fontenot. Ms. Fontenot.
Good evening. Hi, Bill.
Hello.
I guess you'll take care of the items on the agenda for us. So we'll get started with number A.
Yes, ma'am. The Transportation Committee met and have the following recommendations. A, no parking sign on Rockford Place subdivision.
Motion.
Second.
Move by Ms. Fontenot. Second by Mr. Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. Ms. Fontenot. Mr. Rue.
B is recommend acceptance in the parish maintenance system of the following roads in River Ridge subdivision: Aspen Drive, Citadel Drive, Colonial Drive, Knollwood Drive, Majestic Lane, Mandalay Drive, Merrimack Drive, Orleans Drive, Remington Drive, Tuscany Drive, Waterford Drive, and Wildwood Drive.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Dempsey Lambert.
Second.
Second by Mr. Oliver Joseph. Any discussion on any of these roads? Yes, Mr. Shakespeare.
Bill, just for information, I think you said in the transportation meeting, all of these have been inspected and approved.
They have been inspected and approved.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
Dutchtown Hollow subdivision, Eagles Way Court.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Lambert, Todd Lambert. Second by Ms. Fontenot. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. See the sidewalk issue that we placed on the agenda, Bill?
Yes, sir. And what this is a little bit of formality that we have to do for the state. As you remember, you have passed a resolution for us to participate in the sidewalk program, the second phase. That's for funding for the sidewalk program. They sent us a note back and said that we have to have additional specific information in that resolution. and that additional information is as follows. Be it further resolved that local government sponsor will assume full responsibility for the required 5% local match for design, engineering, construction, administration, and testing, and for managing and maintaining the project, and for any legal liability incurred as a result of this project. What that really says is that we will pay for the engineering and construction management, and we already have. That GSA is doing that work. And for us, a liability issue, and once the sidewalk is completed, it's in the state right-of-way, but we're responsible for the upkeep of it and any liability as a result of the sidewalk.
So moved.
Moved by Chairman Berger, second by Councilman Shake Snyder. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. Thank you, Mr. Root.
I have one other thing,
Yes.
just for notification. LA 935 with the Stringer Bridge Road will be shut down next week. Weather permitting, we're going to put a cross drain in right before the Stringer Bridge Road, by the Benton Frederick Road. It should be down about a week, hopefully, weather permitting. So just want to make that announcement.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Root. Ms. Fontenot?
We did have some discussion in our previous council meeting about this, but I just want to reiterate this to the public since it was things that people in the public were asking about. And one was about the 621-73 and I-10 intersection. And I received an email this afternoon from Representative Eddie Lambert, and he had a little email that he attached from Dawn Schomeyer of DOTD. And so that they are saying that DOTD has received advance check prints from the consultants. These plans were supposed to be submitted mid-November and were not received until December the 19th. The plans are currently being reviewed by all pertinent sections of DOTD and by FHWA. I have given all sections of DOTD and FHWA till January the 26th to return any comments that they may have. To be on schedule, the ACPs should have been submitted to DOTD, reviewed and commented and addressed by the end of December. Therefore, we are about 1.5 months behind schedule, but hopefully these bids should be out by mid-June, or by the end of June, mid-July. And then another section that Representative Lambert sent to me this evening from Ronnie Robinson of DOTD is that the jacking contractor plans to do the culvert under 73 in Prairieville in 2 to 3 weeks, and then he will do the culvert under 61. The utilities have held them up to now that these are out of the way. The weather has also not been kind. So there should be some work in the next 2 or 3 weeks in these particular areas. They are putting a new culvert in. Also, the citizens had been asking about the road work on Airline Highway, and we got a report, and we reported it last time, but I'm going to report it again tonight, that the contractor is back doing the mediums and the turn lanes and the crossovers, and that there is still yet another layer of asphalt that will be done probably in early summer or toward the middle of the summer when the heat of the weather picks up, and that they can pour the asphalt. Also, I want to remind everybody that with all the bad weather and the roads are extra slippery at this time, and also that there are lots of roads that are under construction, the Transportation Committee reminds our citizens to be extra careful. As always, we meet the second Tuesday at 6:30 here in the Courthouse East. Please try to attend or watch us live on Cox or ETL Channel 21. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Ms. Fondo, in the future, let's put those updates on 2/3 so we can get them on in case there's some other people want to talk about that. But I appreciate, I know Mr. Lambert, I got those emails from him also, but in the future put that as an update and then specify what it is, okay?
Okay,
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on now to agenda item number 13, Strategic Planning Committee. Chairman Shake
We will
Snyder.
meet the fourth Monday.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shake Snyder. The Finance Committee report, Mr. Jared Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have contract renewals. A1, Acadian Ambulance Service for Ascension Parish Prison, pending legal review. So moved, Mr.
Moved by
Chairman.
Mr. Todd
Second.
Lambert.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fontenot. Any discussion? No discussion. Any objections? So moved. Now, all of these were discussed at the Finance meeting and also approved. Mr. Barry, you might want to note that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A2, Lofton temp staffing, pending legal review.
So moved.
Again, reviewed at Finance.
Moved by moved by Councilman Shake Snyder. Second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
A3, contract for Paul K. Keller and Associates, LLC, grant writing and consulting.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Shake Snyder.
Second.
Second by Councilman Oliver Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
A4, Paul K. Keller and Associates, LLC, OEP.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Lambert. Dempsey Lambert.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilman Shake Snyder. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, well, hang on a second. Yes, Mr. Shake Snyder.
I just had a discussion, a concern. We are naming an OEP person in the future. I was just concerned about how long is a contract going to last and how we're going to work that out.
Okay. Yeah, we are. I do have that information. Maybe Parish President can shed some light on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we did send all of you a letter. We hired a gentleman last week who will be starting hopefully a couple of weeks. He's originally from our parish, been away in the military, doing federal civil service since he retired from the military, and presently working with the United States Navy in civil service capacity and doing consulting work. Has a very, very impressive resume, and as soon as we can. And one of the things that he asked for, since he's really not worked in local government, he's done nation building in Afghanistan, following some of the things over there. He has a master's degree in business administration he acquired from St. Louis University. He has Sigma 6 qualifications, which is the highest degree of training you can have both in the business and government world. And so one of the questions he asked was the staff we had here, which is fairly small, and then who would kind of help mentor him for a while as he learns local government. And we took him around to some of the agencies that were in on Friday afternoon. So he asked for that mentoring, and we really feel like with the parish emergency plan that the consultant has been working on, they actually worked Monday. And this gentleman came in and met with Dr. Keller in the Emergency Operations Center. And so hopefully he'll be on board real soon. We anticipate 90 days or so probably in this transition where he can work with Dr. Keller, make sure that he gets up to speed, or he'll meet everybody from plant managers to the sheriff, personnel, our fire districts, and pretty much every agency that's involved in emergency operations and Homeland Security. And I didn't say it in my report. I wanted to mention here, since it's on the agenda, there is an exercise coming up in the next few weeks, which is going to be mostly in the medical profession in the Baton Rouge area. They're very selective in the people they're inviting to, and it's going to deal with like flu pandemics and how prepared we are in the region if something like this comes our way. So there's a lot happening here, and so we feel like Dr. Keller really needs to work with him for a while, and he has specifically asked for someone to help him. But I think all of you would be very pleased with this gentleman and what he brings to the table in this position. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Parish President. Okay, we'll move on now to...
Excuse me, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman,
I'm
not
sorry.
finished.
I'm sorry. That's what we're going to
We have B,
Your resolution.
a resolution to apply for the Building Code Implementation Grant and to authorize Parish President's signature and execution of all documents pertaining to the application and implementation of said grant.
We didn't vote.
Hang on a second.
Did we call a vote?
Yeah, we did not. You're exactly right, because we were in discussion. I'm sorry about that. No, I'm sorry. Okay. Any other discussion on the OEP director? I'm sorry, Mr. Paul Keller. Apologize. Yes, Ms. Fontenot.
Well, this contract states for 12 months and 30-day notice of cancellation. And while that was good the last time when we brought this up, we have hired an OEP director. And since we do maybe necessarily need one for, he said, 90 days, I think that maybe we should amend this to reflect 90 days as the term. Can I make a motion to do that?
Okay, Ms. Fondo makes a motion that we amend the contract to say for a 90-day period.
For a 90-day period.
Do I have a second on the amendment? No second on the amendment. The amendment fails. Now we'll vote on the contract as written. Any more discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. Just for a point of information, really, the parish president, under his guidelines, could award up to $10,000, which is what he was on anyway. And at the time this was brought to us, we actually did not know whether we had an OEP. As the parish president told me, this one was an answer to prayer, so that's good. We'll move on now to B. Okay, Mr. Berger, you can start over again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have B, a resolution to apply for the Building Code Implementation Grant and to authorize Parish President's signature and execution of all documents pertaining to the application and implementation of said grant.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Mr. Oliver Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. Mr. Berger.
We have C, approval of $4,000 a year pay raise for Assistant District Attorney O'Neill Parrington.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Hillensback. Second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Any discussion?
Just a point, Mr. Chairman, in Finance Committee discussion, I believe this is to bring Mr. Parrington up to the other Assistant District Attorneys. They've all received raises for different entities, and this is just to even out Mr. Parrington's salary with everyone else.
Because Mr. Parrington is paid by the parish, and he did not fall under that raise, and that was what Mr. Babin suggested we do.
Right.
Any other discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
Yes, say thank you.
Mr. Berger.
We have D, approval of 2007 contract renewal for the Capital Area Legal Services, pending legal review.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lambert, Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kent Shake-Snyder. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
And that completes the report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Berger. We'll move on now to general business. The Metro Ethernet service agreement between Ascension Telephone Company, LLC, and the Parish of Ascension. I know there was some discussion on this particular item, and I'm not sure if we not need some more discussion. Well, we'll see how it goes so far.
So
I need a
moved.
motion.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Berger.
Second.
Counsel by Mr. Second by Mrs. Shake-Snyder. Discussion. Ms. Fontenot.
Well, I just have two questions. I just briefly read over this contract, and it's really not one that I really understand. So I was just wondering, are we presently receiving this service from anybody else? Is this a new service that we're getting, or is this something?
Go ahead, Chairman.
From my understanding, this was an upgrade. This is an upgrade, and I believe Mr. Keller's here. He's walking in. He kind of explained it at
So
the
it's
finance
an
meeting.
upgrade from ETEL?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's an existing contract that is an upgrade, okay?
That's my question.
Councilman Shake-Snyder.
Yes, basically we're putting everything on to fiber optics, and it's going to enable us to do a myriad of more things, and it's going to also offer, how much savings?
$635 a month.
$635 a month for much more services and $635 a month savings.
Good, okay. Any other discussion? Do I have any opposition? So moved. We'll move now to the planning and zoning recommendations. Agenda item number 16, zone review ID 16310.06, track 1 for Kelly and Lisa Boudreau, located on the west side of LA 431, approximately 800 feet south of Highway 621, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium intensity residential to mixed use. And this is to accept or deny the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation. The Planning and Zoning Committee's recommendation was to deny.
Mr. Chairman, this gentleman brought this to the Planning and Zoning for...
Excuse me, Mr. Lambert, we'll have to have a motion and a second before we discuss.
Okay.
Motion. Motion to accept the Planning and Zoning.
I'd like to hear.
We have to have a motion. for
Mr.
you
Chairman, motion
accept
to
the-
deny planning and zoning's recommendation.
Moved by Mr. Barriger to
Second.
deny planning and zoning's recommendation. Second by Mr. Lambert. Now we'll have the discussion. Mr. Lambert.
The gentleman brought this to the planning and zoning as mixed use, and I think he meant to bring it as crossroad commercial, and I want to submit it back to zoning as crossroad commercial.
So that's the reason for us denying.
Correct. I
the
will
planning and
submit it
zoning
back to
recommendation.
the zoning
Okay,
commission.
that's not a problem.
It has to come from a councilman in order to do it without having to wait a year grace period on it.
Okay.
It was just I guess,
that-
it was already advertised as mixed use, and he got denied because
But
of it.
if I understand, maybe Lance can help me on this, Mr. Brock, since you are the gentleman that knows.
Yes, sir. What would happen is that the motion was to send this back to the, well, that Todd's asking to bring this back to the Planning Zoning Commission for rehearing, I guess, or for him to request crossroad commercial instead of mixed use, which is what the request was at the
Okay.
time.
So Mr. Lambert moved a substitute motion by Mr. Lambert
I'll
to send it
second.
back to planning and zoning for review.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Fontenot. Discussion. Everybody understand? Yes.
You as Crossroads Commercial. So
To review as crossroads commercial, okay?
Yeah.
Any discussion? We'll vote on substitute motion first. Any opposition to the substitute motion? No opposition, substitute motion passes. We'll move now to agenda item number 17, zoning review ID 1630.06, lots 2, 3, and 4 of Forest Lawn subdivision for Lakes of Ascension, LLC, and Vines Lake, LLC, located south side of LA 621, approximately 800 feet east of LA Highway 73, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential to mixed use. This was also a plan and zoning recommendation to deny. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to accept the recommendation and deny.
Moved by Mr. Hillensbeck to accept the recommendation, second by Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. Agenda item number 18. Agenda item number 18, I'll read it and we'll have a speaker. The zoning review ID 1628.06, Lot 1D of the James E. Gore property for Ray Shakespeare, located on the southwest corner of LA 431 and Stephen Road, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential to mixed use. This is a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning, and it is to deny. We have a speaker, Mr. Ray Shakespeare. Mr. Shakespeare, you have the floor for 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I bought this property in 1994, way before zoning, and I took out a loan as commercial loan. I built 2 buildings on this property. I added on 3 times from 94 to 2001. I'm not no means asking to spot zone. I feel that my property should be zoned commercial since I was built before commercial. And I took loans out and bought parish permits for commercial. I'm asking the council, men and women, to vote me to multi-use and change the zoning. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Shakespeare. I will give the council a few seconds to look over this, if anybody needs that.
I got
If
a
not, I'll
motion to
entertain a
deny,
motion.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry?
Motion to deny planning and zoning's recommendation.
Motion to deny planning and zoning recommendation.
Second.
Second by Mr. McConnell. That would grant this gentleman his request. Do I have a discussion?
Yes, I was
Councilman Shakespeare.
I was curious as to hear why it was denied. That Lance.
The recommendation to deny was based on spot zoning.
And do we want to go all the way from medium intensity residential to mixed use, or would it be something that'd be more fitting for Crossroads commercial?
That's why I'm giving a few minutes.
I mean, It's one of those things that a few years ago this thing came up as planning and zoning, and people in the surrounding areas were very concerned about the mixed use, and it wasn't as concerned about Crossroads Commercial because you have a little more limitations in there, and it is at a crossroads, and so
Mr. Chairman?
I'm just curious as to whether that, like the other one, whether that had something to do with it, whether it was denied as mixed use.
You finished, Mr. Shakespeare?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Barrett.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We can really save that discussion for a couple weeks and talk and get with maybe Lance, if y'all so choose to go further with it and vote for the motion that I made. We can decide when it actually comes up for public hearing and a vote, you can amend it to Crossroad Commercial or leave it at mixed use if y'all so choose to go that far. So we really don't have to decide that tonight. We can have some more dialogue with planning and zoning and try to make a decision, Crossroad Commercial or mixed use.
Okay. Any other discussion by councilman? Ms. Shakespeare, you didn't take your whole 3 minutes, so I'll allow you. Do you have a comment, sir?
I would be satisfied with Crossroad Commercial.
That'll be something the council will have to decide at that time. When it comes back up, you'll have some opportunity to talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Last, when we advertised this in the area, did we have the response? I think Councilman Shakespeare was mentioned people in the past. Did we have people in the community come express themselves to the department on this issue? Or?
We had phone calls, but no one showed up at the public hearing for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Any objection to the motion? To deny? No objection? So moved. Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 19, zoning review ID 1629.06 for Lot 2A, Lot 3, Lot 4-A-1 of the L.W. Broussard property for Morris Daniel McMurray Sr., located south side of Highway 933, approximately 800 feet east of Highway 44, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential to crossroads commercial. This is a planning and zoning recommendation to deny.
Recommend planning and zoning's recommendation.
Todd moves to accept the planning and zoning recommendation. Second by Councilman Barriger. Any discussion? Any questions of Lance while he's there? No discussion? Any objection? No objection? So moved. Thank you, Lance.
Thank you.
We'll move now to the public hearing ordinance, the extension of the public hearing to consider amending the Ascension Parish subdivision regulation to eliminate section 20:402, procedure B for approval of final subdivision plats. This was on Mr. Babin. We had a fairly short discussion since we had some questions that were asked and no one could answer. I think one of the burning questions last was how the administration felt about it. I don't know if, Mr. President, you have any more information on this particular item or not.
Mr. Marchand's here tonight, and the request came from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Absolutely. I see Mr. Marchand in the audience.
Move to reopen the public hearing.
Move to reopen the public hearing. Second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any objections? So move. We'll open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on this public hearing, please approach the secretary and sign in with her, and then we will give you 3 minutes. We appreciate Mr. Marshall if he'd do that. I think you might be able to answer, Michael, you might be able to answer some questions that some councilmen have on why this was brought up.
First, let me apologize for not being at last week's meeting. Other obligations, and I didn't know that I would necessarily be called on to answer questions. The commission is looking through the subdivision ordinances. We had a particular situation that came up, final approval, and several other commissioners and I went and looked at the piece of property. We got out there, and, well, it just didn't seem to have everything that it should. There was just a road bed. That was the first thing we looked at. There was no way we could actually grant a final approval for this subdivision. At the commission meeting, we were given the information that they wanted to bond out the entire subdivision. Now, when I go and I look at a piece of property that's coming for final approval, there are certain things that I expect to see. And in this case, there was an off-site improvement that the developer was required to provide. That hasn't been done. Some of the newer commissioners, and sometimes it takes the newer eyes to bring up the old issues, get them back out there, said this isn't right. And I agree, it's not right. It's outdated for our ordinances. It's outdated for what we have going on in the parish right now. We don't need to do this anymore. So, recommendation was made to send this to our subdivision ordinance committee for come back with a recommendation to the full commission, which we did. Let's get rid of it. We don't need it. It's not consistent with the things that we have going on with development today. We need to see the improvements proposed with these subdivisions happening before we grant these approvals. I'm going to throw kind of a little say in there. Anybody that knows me is watching on TV is going to probably get a chuckle out of this one, but if you always do what you always did, then you always get what you always got. Well, because we have been transacting business as normal during the past 5 years, the Commission has granted final approval to 90 subdivisions, or no, I'm sorry, 93, with containing 4,741 lots, along with all the flooding problems, the traffic problems, and now we're hearing about the overcrowding with school. Okay, if we don't want to allow for freewheeling development, we're going to have to put some controls in place. This is going to be one of the controls. Right now, bonding out, the developer jumps, or leapfrogs, I should say, over some of the things that they're supposed to do. They get that final plat signed, they can sell lots. They can start building houses. They can go after building permits. They can start building houses. We have inspections at various stages of the development. Because the scope of work has broadened, it can allow for things to fall through the cracks. These inspectors are human. They can miss things. Now, I don't want to make their job any harder, because they stay busy with all these different inspections that are going on. And I've already talked with a couple of the inspectors, and yes, there is this, they get in each other's way, the construction crews and the inspectors. So let's eliminate this. I think this is, we're not taking anything from the developer. He is still able to go forth with his development, but he has to go through the proper stages. Let's get these improvements. We've got another one that's coming up.
Don't get on it. Just stay on this one. Just stay on this one.
As far as the development, though, we've got one that is coming before us. Same scenario.
Yeah.
You know, it's we really need to watch this.
Okay. Well, one thing I'm going to ask Chairman Monchon of the plan. By the way, for those of you that don't know, Mr. Monchon is the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and maybe this has to do with O'Neill. The next time something like this with a section of procedure, it's really not spelled out to us what it is that we're actually eliminating. Okay. It just has the number, so it would be helpful, because all councilmen are not up to snuff on exactly what the wording about and what we are exactly eliminating. And that had that was some of the problems. So maybe in the future too, also, Chairman, you could make sure that gets to us.
We will work on getting our recommendations to the council in clearer manner.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wants to speak on this public hearing?
Motion to close, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Hillsback to close, second by Mr. Todd Lambert to close the public hearing. Any objections? Public hearing is now closed. We'll move now to 21, the ordinance.
I move the ordinance.
Moved by Mr. Morton McConnell,
A second.
seconded by Mr. Todd Lambert. Discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Barriger.
Thank you. A couple points made by Planning and Zoning Commission that they can build houses when all the infrastructure is not in. Yes, that is true, but they cannot get a CO, which is a certificate of occupancy, until everything is complete. Subdivision completed. So that's no big deal. I mean, nobody can move in, nobody can actually buy that home. They can buy the lot and things of that sort, but no one can move in until that subdivision is complete and everything's okay there. I did talk to Inspection Division today. No one expressed any problems, complaints with the existing situation. Spent an hour there talking with them, and they have no issues. So just want to make those points.
Okay. Any other discussion? Councilman Shake Snyder.
Yes, and I also made it a point to go visit with the people that are involved in the process, and each one of them were very satisfied with the way things are as it is. I have absolutely no problem with putting restrictions, regulations on developers. We should do that. We should do that up front, everything there. After we put these restrictions and regulations, the people should get a benefit from them, and then once we do that, we should streamline things as much as possible so that the developers, knowing the restrictions we put on them and the regulations we put on them, can go through the process as neatly and cleanly and quickly as possible. There's only one thing that this ordinance, proposed ordinance, would do. That would be delay and prolong the process and make it more expensive. It's two things, I'm sorry. That's it. It will not make any development better. It will not make any homeowner more guaranteed that they're going to receive services, because every development will still have to get an inspection and approval and follow all of the guidelines set forth by the Planning and Zoning Commission. And so because of that, and as Councilman Barriger said, before they get occupancy. So because of that, all we're doing is delaying people getting into their houses and causing it to be more expensive, because you're tying up monies for a longer period of time. They will not receive any more services from that. It would just only make it more expensive. This is something that is done all the time. People buy properties, commercial properties, and they build to suit. And basically what you're doing, you're building to suit the tenant. Everything's inspected, and at the end of the inspection, all approval of everything, then they can be granted occupancies. I'm just curious, have we had instances where people have bought homes and there were subdivisions in this situation, and there was problems in the subdivisions, and they bought homes, and was there any problems? Is there anybody from DPW can answer that? Have we had any problems because somebody has bonded out a subdivision and lots were bought? Has there been any problems?
I think, Chairman Marshall, just to answer your question, I don't think he stipulated it had to do with homeowners. I think it had more to do with inspectors and what have you. I think Councilman Barriger made some comments about inspectors. But I think that was the reason behind it.
I went to speak to the inspectors, and I went to speak to everyone else, and they did not have any problems. And so
I don't think it was a problem.
I was just making sure that I didn't miss anything, that because of this incident that we've had some problems in the past. You know, I'm still trying to find a problem.
Okay.
And no one has yet given me a specific problem on this. And so because of that, I see no reason why we should do something like this, because the homeowners are protected Developers have to follow every guideline that we put forward. They cannot skimp. They are not allowed to go around anything or cut anything short. And it's in their best interest to get things done in a quicker manner. So therefore, I cannot support the motion.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Councilman Sheriff. Councilman McConnell.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, just a brief comment to address something that Mr. Shakespeare said. I don't think that delaying and prolonging the process of developing new subdivisions in this parish at this point in our history is necessarily a bad thing. And so I'm going to support the ordinance.
Any other discussion? Any opposition to the motion?
Object.
Mr. Shake Snyder, Mr. Barriger, and Mr. Lambert. Any other objections? So moved. Agenda item number 22.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Barriger.
Second.
Second by Councilman Shake Snyder. Ascension Parish Council stands in adjournment.